let's start with the dollar. I want to get to Bitcoin Treasury in just a second. Dollar's getting murdered. I would offer in the last couple of days you got a little bit of a reprieve off of the whole dollar weakness story, maybe the last week or so. Let me just ask you, do you think, before I get into the deeper topic here, do you think the short dollar trade, you think there's too many people on that side of the boat? Think it's stretched?
I mean, I think it's had its worst 6 months since the 70s, the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't think there's... No, I think right now, I mean, there's no question. I mean, we've all jumped to the other side. I mean, we're all long dollar right now. And so I think I think the trading community is all long dollars.
Long dollar against what? Just across the board?
No, it's not.
Dollar against euro?
It's got to be dollar versus... In the spot world, it could be anything. In the listed world, it's all dollar versus euro. There's nothing else that's tradable.
Do you think it's a short-term fade because we're a little bit overextended?
Yeah.
But in the long term, like cyclically, you'd be a little bit long dollars, but secularly, you still think the short dollar trade has more to go?
The short dollar trade went way further than I thought it would go. I mean, the only place that we are short dollars right now is because we're long yen. Because I like the long yen trade. And I'm not getting out of that trade no matter what. I'm staying long yen versus dollar no matter what. Other than the yen trade, we are short. Right now, we are short the euro and short the Canadian dollar. And that's and kind of just for personal reasons, we're long the British pound. But that's neither here nor there.
For personal reasons?
Yeah, we happen to be.
What does that mean? You're going on vacation or something?
No, we happen to be.
I'm short the British.
We happen to own a stock that's in British pounds. So
yeah,
I mean,
I got you.
I mean, Tasty trades in British pounds. I don't know how else to put it. So whether you whatever you think about the pound, we are always rooting for the pound in this office.
All right,
fair enough. The pound at 135 is way better than 110. That's all I can tell you.
I think it's necessary to set up how you feel about the dollar to get into this next part. I'm curious if the Bitcoin Treasury play has jumped the shark.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading this morning.
There is no play.
I was reading this morning a company called K-Wave Media, KWM. There's no liquidity, so it's not even worth bringing up on your screen. But if you want to, it's KWM. They secured $1 billion in capital to drive their Bitcoin acquisition strategy. $500 million of that is going to be in convertible notes, of course. And I was reading the press release, and I almost couldn't believe
how stupid people are. How stupid.
Listen to this first line. Listen to this line in the press release. KWM is the first NASDAQ-listed public company to integrate Korean cultural content with a Bitcoin-focused corporate treasury model. And I fell out of my chair there. I was like, oh my God, you have no idea how long I've been looking for a company that integrates Korean cultural content with a Bitcoin-focused corporate treasury model. My question to you, we knew when MicroStrategy announced their sort of corporate Bitcoin strategy, we knew at some point in time there was going to be a bunch of Me Too companies. With the weakness in the dollar, it should not surprise anybody that this is being attempted by a handful of companies. MicroStrategy, of course, the first, GameStop, Rumble, a handful of others. I guess my question to you, Tom, is this just what a prudent CFO would do, or is this model kind of jump the shark at this point?
I have been incredibly outspoken on this particular topic for probably, I want to say going back almost a year, but let's call it 6 months nonstop. I think this is a flat out scam. I don't think anybody, I don't even know what this company is. Honestly, I've never even heard of them. And the fact that they raised $1 billion just shows how stupid investors are and how gullible they are. I think that
D-Dog,
thank you. I think that Michael Saylor's strategy is a scam. I think Ryan Cohn is a scammer. I know he's a scammer. I think I think that anybody who's trying to sell this approach to the public is basically just trying to rake or steal the fees for executing this policy, and I think they should all end up banned from this industry forever. There's never been a less transparent, more public scam than this whole thing. The idea that you can raise money on a convertible note without an interest rate and without a conversion ratio is I don't even know how it's legal, and yet people are throwing money in billions of dollars. So it's either, people are chasing the crazy potential returns of Bitcoin without having to do it, obviously themselves, and having to, feeling like they have the upside, feeling that these things are always going to trade at a premium, or they just, they're being sold something that they really just don't understand. I mean, why would anybody? I've never been able to get a reasonable answer to this. And I've used AI, I've Googled it, I've read every story of people that defend the approach. It's all bullshit. Why would anybody pay 2x the price of spot Bitcoin without a conversion ratio or an interest rate for loaning the money? It makes no sense how you take the risk at double the spot price. In some cases, more than double the spot price. In the case of MicroStrategies, for me, this whole thing is just it's a criminal. It's like you'll never ever see me long one share of MicroStrategies, GameStop, Chewy, whatever anything any of these guys are associated with, because they're all scammers.
So just let's unpack this just a bit. Who is being scammed? Is it the buyer of the convertible note, or is it the buyer of the equity, or both, in your mind?
Oh, well, I it's who's ever putting the worst. The person who's buying the equity, they have a. I don't care as much about that person, because that person is making a decision on, they're making their own decision whether to buy the stock. I don't really care. I think the person who is putting up the money for the convertible note is the person being scammed. I just don't even I don't understand it. Like it's, it bothers me. I'll tell you something. Interesting story, Vic. It bothers me when somebody raises capital for something and they don't give you equity. They do it in a way where, let's just call it's a convertible. And usually they do it that way. It's called like a safe agreement. They do it that way so they can, raise the money, and then they give you a max price. It possibly could be happen at lower price, but they give you a max price, and everybody likes to raise money that way on a convertible. I run from those deals. I've never made money on one safe agreement that I've ever invested in. I only do it where I can invest and I get equity. That's it, because I don't care. All these other things, such bullshit. Where does somebody get off trying to start a company from scratch and saying to you, you know what?
I'm going to buy another company and
No. Just give me, we're going to do it as a convertible note.
Right.
Like, I'm like, wait, so you're going to pay me interest? No, we're not going to pay you interest.
Under rates is what I was going to tell you.
So you're not really going to pay me interest. So then what is the conversion?
It's a great gig if you can get it, Tom.
Exactly, but people don't understand what it means. It's been like hundreds of billions of dollars of scam capital that's been raised, all under the pretense of convertible paper, which doesn't pay interest. That's the whole purpose of a convertible note. That's what a note means. And it drives me insane. Mm-hmm. You don't know how many times, Vic, we sit around and get pitched. Like, I get pitched at least once or twice a week on stuff. And every person is like, no, this is how we're doing it. It's all convertible. There's all this. And I always say, and then one guy pitched me on something. He's like, no, I'm doing it as straight equity. I go, thank you. So you actually believe in your product.
Right. Because if you're going to take that, you get the upside.
So I guess if I could ask you 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Do you think we see more or less of this Bitcoin treasury strategy?
I think the only way you'll see more is if Bitcoin goes to $200,000, $300,000 or $400,000, which is entirely possible. And that keeps the
if dollar keeps going this way, That's
Well,
totally possible.
the dollar, the dollar is going, the dollar is merely a reflection of, the dollar is just basically an arb between bond stocks and dollar right now. It's the only way to normalize what's happening around the world. It's how you discount America. That's all it is. So the dollar is just a reflection of it's just a statement on Trump. It's all the dollar is. So when Trump
But do you think
off of his
purposeful
policies
by the administration?
What?
If you read a lot of the policy papers by like Mirren and a handful of others, it seems like this was sort of the desired outcome. A weaker dollar is a desired outcome. Do you think that's true?
It depends who you think that is. I mean, if you're Trump, I think a weaker dollar is a desired outcome because it fuels your other policies. Because if you're an isolationist, you don't care what the value of your, you don't care what where your dollar goes around the world. If you're on the other side of the equation, yeah, you care. So it really just depends who you are. In a global sense, I mean, it's not helping you. Just think about it. Not helping anybody that's got to go. Not helping anybody that doesn't trade in U.S. dollars.
Yeah, I'm getting totally smoked.
Yeah, you're getting killed.
100%.
Right. You've lost 20. You've lost 15% of your earnings, and same with a lot of other people. And it's not just that. It's not just travel and things like that. It's just the world just became more expensive. The U.S. is on sale. That's why equity prices are where they are, but it's also why bond prices are where they are. And so everything normalizes. It's just a, for us personally, most Americans are pretty ethnocentric and pretty much, we don't really get that as much. But, I think the dollar was too cheap, honestly. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
I think the dollar was too expensive.
Yeah.
I think it was way too expensive. And now I think the dollar is too cheap. I think there's a happy place that's maybe about, euro, let's say 110, 112 in that range. I still think the yen's cheap, just as a trader.
I never brought this up to you guys, and I'm actually curious to get your opinion on the whole stablecoin thing. The Genius Act is working its way through one portion of Congress. I think it's still got one more to pass. It circles now public. Do you guys have an opinion on? To me, I get the theoretical value of a stablecoin and internet money and sort of instant settlement, but there's another part of me that goes, this is just a big gimmick to create treasury demand. I can right now, I can buy things on the internet without having a 1-for-1 treasury, without my dollars being 1-to-1 backed in treasuries. I can just use my debit card or my credit card, whatever. I can make a purchase online. But as we move more towards a stablecoin economy, what that means is you're going to have to back up those dollars that get put behind these stablecoins with a 1-to-1 purchase in stablecoins. And to me, that's just like it's just creating artificial treasury demand where you really don't. Today, I can make all these purchases without that, but we're going to move towards a stablecoin world where dollars are backed up by treasuries, which to me just seems like artificial treasury demand, which is good work if you can find it. But I guess, have you thought through private or public stablecoins, and do you have an opinion one way or the other?
Well, what bothers me about stablecoins is that I thought the reason that they would be successful was because the fee structure would be
much less.
Right. I thought
instantaneous.
I thought we would be going to like
old school thinking.
I thought we would be basically taking 95% of the costs out. So for example, if we were 100 basis points to do, international or just money transfer in some way, I thought we'd be taking it down to about 5 basis points and it'd be instantaneous. So for the convenience and speed and the huge savings, I thought it would be really interesting. What's happened is that the space has not been fee commoditized yet. So the fee structure there's no savings at all. In some cases, it's more expensive and it's a pain in the butt. And so there's been no real adoption yet. Like Tasty will start accepting stablecoins this week, I think, for funding. And like, we're not expecting it to be a game changer or anything. I thought at first it had the potential to be. I think that the fees, something has to give. And for me, it has to be the fees. They have to come down dramatically. You have to make it so you have to have a 90 or 95% savings in order to justify, first of all, there's stablecoin risk because you never know who's guaranteeing the trust or the fund on the other, who's guaranteeing the trade. And so you've got these third parties that, how do you know who they, you don't know, you're not 100% sure. So there is risk, right? And then the fees aren't any kind of a saving. So I don't really get the whole thing. I think Circle is insanely overpriced. It came out as a $30 stock. It's a $200 stock right now. It's probably overpriced by $150.
Up another 1.5%.
But it's in fairness, it is the only pure play.
Yes.
And they had a relatively low float that they
it's
they
the
released.
only
they were way oversubscribed,
Yes.
and then they increased the amount of issuance. But even then, they still have a very low float relative to demand. In fairness,
it is the only public pure play.
Yes.
There's a lot of other plays out there. It's the only public pure play. But again, at the current rate structure, there's going to be a ton of stablecoin companies because there's too much juice in it and there's no risk. Like it's simple shit. So, okay, my take on stablecoins is I haven't started to use them yet. I'm interested. I will try. It's not necessarily mine and Tony's generation of
I'm too old.
Of money, I mean,
I'll say it. I'm too old.
I will.
It's a prepper's. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, it's a prepper's paradise.
Dream. It's a prepper's dream. Because the things that I start thinking about, Tom, are all right. What happens? I hear rumors about Bank of America or whatever the case may be. I don't want to keep my deposits there. I can keep them on a little USB stick, and it's backed up 1-to-1. I can take my money out of the financial system, and I can keep it on me.
Yeah, Victor, I'm going to talk to my sister who's a prepper. And I'm going to find out what the organization is thinking there.
I agree with you,
Nobody
Vic.
can come and debank me. It's the same reason I want to hold silver or gold. Nobody can come and tell me what I can and cannot do with my holdings.
Yeah, you're right. It's actually, it's not for preppers, but it's a nice little, preppers get the benefit of this. We don't build stuff.
It's an add-on.
It's an add-on. We don't build stuff for crazy people. But for sometimes things just fit the crazy person scenario, and you got lucky.
Here's
on
the
this.
thing: the
you got lucky
system,
on this. He lumped you in there. You have to watch the subtleness sometimes.
No. He's a crazy prepper.
I know.
No, he's crazy. I mean, Vic is he's one of those people. But
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy because I think through tail risks.
You are crazy because you think through tail risk. There is no such thing as people
if I had never met you and your way of thinking, I would never be thinking about tail risk in my life. You are 100% responsible for
my
the
wife
way
blames
that
you.
I view
He
the
blames
world.
you. And everybody blames you.
Why does everybody blame me? Okay, you're blaming me for tail risk?
Exactly.
No, I'm
giving him the knowledge.
If I never met you, I'd be a binary thinker. It would be ones and zero world. I met you, I started to think through the distribution curve, and then I took that way of thinking and I applied it to everything. I apply it to everything in my life. All decision making comes through a distribution curve and tail risk. And I think that's a great way. I think that's a way better way to think about the world and decision making.
No, I agree with him. Everybody should think that way. But here's the thing. I think that way too, except I don't think about tail risk because you can't think about tail risk. Because those who think about tail risk.
Were you out that day for that class? Did you call it sick or something?
The definition of tail risk, Vic, is crazy. That's where people cross the line. Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Crossed the line.
See, here's what you do. Here's what you do. You go outside of two standard deviations nothing matters. It never happens. If it does hit, it's just an opportunity for you to be opportunistic to acquire an asset at a multi-standard deviation move. That's how you think. And you sell multi-standard deviation moves. And I think that way in most areas of life. But as a 39-year-old father of two, I'm responsible for thinking through the 1 or 2% possibilities. I've got to think through those things, and I don't just poo-poo them. I think, how do I protect myself in those potential scenarios? And you sell those risks. I don't. I sell market risks at 1 or 2 or 3 or 10% probabilities, but in my real life, I'm responsible for my family, and I take those tail risks seriously. So yeah, I own silver and I own gold, and I like stable coins for all of these reasons. And you might think I'm crazy, but you also called me crazy in 2000 and 2020, 2022 when I was buying up gold, and you called me a crazy prepper. And now look, gold's at $3,300.
Yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke.
And you're still a crazy prepper. That doesn't mean anything, okay? That doesn't rationalize it. You're a crazy prepper, okay? Crazy prepper with a bunker in your backyard. I mean,
do you have a bug out bag? Did I ask you this before?
Yeah, he does.
I do, but it got lighter when I moved to Singapore because you're not allowed to have guns here. In Chicago, you can, but you can't in Singapore.
Gotcha. But you have a bug out bag, like you're prepped with like oxygen and stuff like that for an hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had in my cellar in Chicago, I had guns, blankets, I had canned foods, I had iodine tablets. So those are good to protect your. In the case of like a nuclear bomb, you need iodine tablets. So so
you can choke 30 seconds longer than the next person. Go ahead, yes.
Iodine tablets.
Did you have diapers too, in case you defecated yourself as you were dying before you died?
No. Those iodine tablets really help you in a nuclear war.
Okay. You know what?
I rest my case. You're crazy.
I'm prepared.
Oh my God.
I'm not crazy. I'm prepared.
Oh my God.
That's what prepping is. Good job out of you.
Watch this. If you out there, if you're a tasty trader and you have iodine tablets, send Tom an email.
No,
Tom
So do you have like bear spray or something like that instead of like a gun? Do you have like bear spray?
In Singapore?
No, I just pee on myself. If you just pee on yourself, I thought that
you pee on yourself and that'll protect you from what exactly?
I think the
zombies.
I think that's what Grok told me one time. Just pee on yourself and you're protected from the bears.
Oh my God!
No, I meant bear spray to protect you from people because you don't have a gun.
Oh,
you didn't think that far.
You don't need a gun in Singapore. Nobody has a gun in Singapore.
No, but you still are going to have a bad person trying to steal your iodine pills.
I don't even know if police have. Do police even carry guns in Singapore?
Oh, yeah. They walk around with like fully loaded weapons. It's disproportionate punishment to crime. So you have 6 million people on the island and you don't have a ton of police. So the ones that you do see are extreme show of force. Oh, yeah. They got weapons for sure.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe right here. And if you want to meet me and the team in person at our next live event, hit the link at the top of the description.